She doesn't pull away because she feels nothing. She steps back because what she feels actually scares her. Right now, you're probably running the same old story in your head. If a woman creates distance, she's just not into you. If she goes quiet, she's playing games. If she hesitates, she's wasting your time. That story feels comfortable because it protects your ego from getting its hopes up. But it's also incomplete. And a lot of the time, flat out wrong. Here's what most men never get told. When a woman is truly drawn to you, her nervous system reacts before her logic ever catches up. Attraction is not calm at the beginning. It's disruptive. It shakes her patterns, her independence, and the emotional walls she's worked hard to build. And when those walls feel like they might crack, fear doesn't look like her running straight toward you. It looks like pauses, mixed signals, and pockets of silence that leave you spinning. Think about what falling really means for her. It means being vulnerable. It means giving you influence over her emotions. It means putting herself at risk of rejection, disappointment, or losing control. If she's been hurt before, or if she survived by being guarded, those risks feel huge. So when she feels herself slipping, she instinctively hits the brakes. That's why you see what seem like contradictions. She asks you deep, thoughtful questions, then suddenly goes cold. She opens up late at night, then seems distant the next day. She remembers tiny details about you, yet dodges making clear plans. These are not the actions of a woman who doesn't care. These are the signs of a woman fighting with herself. Her mind is trying to protect her from the very thing her heart is drawn to. One part of her wants closeness. Another part is hitting alarm bells. And fear is loud. Fear tells her that if she lets this grow, she could lose herself, lose control, or lose you later in a way that cuts far deeper than leaving now. And this is where most men misread everything. They either chase harder, demand answers, or shut down and walk away. Both moves can destroy the connection. Pressure confirms her fear. Disappearing confirms her worst beliefs. What she's really watching for, usually without knowing it, is whether you can stay steady without forcing her to decide. Get this clear. A woman who feels nothing does not wrestle with herself. She doesn't overthink. She doesn't freeze. Indifference is clean, flat, and quiet. Fear is messy. Fear is hot and cold. Fear creates behavior that looks irrational from the outside but makes perfect sense inside her emotional world. If you have ever felt that tension between the way she looks at you and the way she behaves, you're not making it up. You're watching a woman standing right at the edge of emotional investment, unsure if that next step is safe. And what you do in this in-between space decides whether her fear fades or hardens. This is where patience becomes power, not weak waiting, not acting needy and going silent. Real grounded presence. You don't rush her feelings, and you don't withdraw to punish her doubt. You stay consistent, clear, and respectful of yourself. That steady energy shouts, safe, louder than any promise. Safety for her is not about you being perfect. It's about you being predictable. It's knowing that if she leans in, she won't slam into pressure, manipulation, or sudden withdrawal. When your actions match your words, when you stay calm even while she's up and down, her nervous system finally starts to relax. And as that fear loosens, something subtle starts to change. Her distance shrinks. Her tone warms up. Her curiosity grows. Not because you talked her into anything, but because you gave her enough space for her courage to catch up to her feelings. That's how fear turns into trust, and hesitation slowly turns into a real choice. Without forcing anything today, the moment she starts to pull back, most men freak out. You feel that familiar sting. She's losing interest. I messed this up. I'll never really get her. That's your brain turning fear into a rejection story. But what you're often feeling is fear, not a final no. Fear is noisy, chaotic, and rarely logical. Rejection is quiet and done. The difference is small, but it matters. When a woman is scared of falling, her body language is telling you a story most guys never read. She might avoid strong eye contact, then look at you the second you look away. She laughs a little too hard at your jokes, then suddenly seems far away. She texts you on and off, but when she does, her messages are warm, thoughtful, and personal. Every contradiction is not a game. It's a signal. She's stuck between desire and self-protection. Every move she makes is her trying to negotiate with herself. Fear is not the absence of attraction. It's attraction amplified. Her emotions are moving faster than her logic. She wants closeness, but her instincts shout, be careful. She's afraid that if she lets herself feel everything, she could lose her independence, be judged, or get hurt again. So she slows down, backs off, or even tests you without knowing she's doing it. How you respond in those moments matters more than you think. Most men try to fix it, demand explanations, or punish her distance by pulling their energy away. All of that cranks her fear up. The real power is in grounded presence. Be steady, be reliable, be the calm force she can count on without abandoning yourself. This is how a man becomes magnetic to a woman who is terrified of her own feelings. Understand this. Her fear will show up as behavior that looks confusing, frustrating, sometimes even a little crazy. She may flirt hard one moment, then disappear. She may tell you vulnerable things, then act like you're just an acquaintance. That's not manipulation. That's her emotional system trying to balance desire with self-preservation. And if you misread that as she doesn't care, you can end up walking away right when she's getting closer to trusting you. Watch the patterns. When she reaches out of nowhere, replies with genuine enthusiasm, or shares random personal details, those are windows into her trust. They're not green lights to push harder. They're proof that your stability is starting to matter. Every simple act of consistency, calm, and respect chips away at the wall her fear has built. You also need to see what is not fear. A woman who truly doesn't care does not hesitate. She does not overanalyze or argue with herself. Her distance is consistent, flat, and emotionally dull. Fear, on the other hand, is noisy, up and down, and full of feeling. It's chaotic. And that chaos is actually evidence that attraction is there. It's like a fire trying to breathe under a blanket of caution. That's why emotional patience is the real test. Not because she's sitting. They're plotting how to test you, but because the storm inside her is testing itself. If you stay anchored, she feels a new kind of safety. The kind where she can slowly lean into intimacy without blowing everything up. You don't need to coach her through every fear or analyze every move. Your steady presence, your consistency, honesty, and calm acts like a mirror that shows her nervous system what courage could look like. And as that fear softens, you'll see quiet shifts. Her hesitation becomes curiosity. Her silence becomes real conversation. Her guard becomes openness. These changes are small and easy to miss day by day. But over time, they build deep emotional connection. She's learning to trust both her feelings and you without being forced. When a woman starts leaning toward you, pay close attention to how she moves, not just what she says. Little gestures, small words, tiny moments of vulnerability, those are proof she's pushing past fear step by step. The more you respect that pace, the faster her nervous system adjusts. Fear starts turning into trust. Hesitation becomes a real decision. And the same feelings that once made her push you away now start pulling her closer. Here's a truth most men never hear. The women who scare you the most with their hot and cold energy are often the ones who feel the most. The ones who flirt, then go quiet. The ones who light up when they see you, then vanish for a while. That inconsistency is usually not about your worth. It's about how intense the feelings are inside her. And strong emotion can terrify even the toughest people. Her fear is a mirror. It reflects all the unspoken risks of letting herself fall. Falling means vulnerability. Falling means not knowing how this ends. Falling means handing over emotional ground she's protected for a long time The higher her walls, the more powerful her attraction often is, because though sea walls are there to manage what she feels for you, she's standing on the edge, trying to figure out if it's safe to step in. Every pause, every retreat is a fight inside her mind. You'll see her send mixed signals. One day, she's texting you long, personal messages that make you feel incredibly close to her. The next day, she's brief, distant, or seems uninterested. One moment, her body leans in when you speak, matching your energy. The next, she pulls back and avoids your eyes. These are not games. These are fear's fingerprints on desire. And fear is about survival, not logic. Most men look at this and think, she's rejecting me. But most of the time, that's not what's happening. These are chances for you to show stability, patience, and emotional intelligence. They're invitations to anchor yourself instead of reacting. You can't rush her into certainty and you can't force her feelings, but you can stay present, calm, and emotionally solid. That steadiness tells her something words can't. It tells her she's safe, and safety is what allows fear to finally melt into real choice. When a man gets this, he stops obsessing over every text, every pause, every double message. He stops using constant consistency as the only measure of interest. Instead, he starts seeing patterns of real engagement hidden under hesitation. He notices the effort she makes to stay connected even when she's scared. He feels the warmth hiding behind her distance. He watches without judgment and offers presence instead of pressure. The key here is subtlety. Every word you say and every move you make should create a rhythm that matches where she is emotionally without trying to control it. Too much intensity will spike her fear. Too much absence will prove it right. The balance is in grounded presence, the kind that feels reliable, firm, and respectful of what she's battling inside. You might ask, but what if she never actually steps in? That's where your discernment matters. Fear does not guarantee love, but it is a clue. A woman who feels nothing doesn't hesitate, doesn't overthink, doesn't wrestle with herself. Her distance is simple, steady, and emotionally flat. A woman torn between desire and fear is messy, unpredictable, and full of feeling. That messiness is proof of depth. Understand this. When she's scared of falling, she's not really pushing you away to test you. She's pulling herself back to protect herself. The pull toward you is still there. It's real and strong. And the more you show calm confidence, self-respect, and consistency, the more you allow her nervous system to finally catch up to her emotions. Pay attention to the small openings, the quick smile when she spots you, the short check-in text she sends when she's worried about seeming too eager, the way she laughs a bit nervously, touches her hair, or mirrors your body language. Those are not random. They're breadcrumbs of courage, tiny signs that she's leaning in even while fear tells her to run. This is what most men completely miss. The same behaviors that annoy you are often the ones that reveal her attraction. Fear is the veil. Your job is to stay present, solid and dependable until she feels safe enough to lift it. Because when that veil finally drops, what's underneath is more than casual flirting. It's connection built from trust, choice, and the rare courage to risk falling. When a woman hesitates, it's easy to label it as low interest. But hesitation is not the lack of attraction. It's the presence of self-protection. Deep down, she feels something she cannot fully trust yet. Something strong enough to make her question herself. She wants closeness, but she fears it. She wants intimacy, but she fears what she might lose. She wants to let go, but she fears being overwhelmed. That tension is exactly where real attraction and real connection live. Her fear shows up in dozens of subtle ways. She might cancel plans at the last minute, then suggest another time soon after. She might flirt hard, then go quiet. She might pour her heart out, then act like it never happened. Men often see this as confusion, mixed signals, or emotional games. In reality, it's the heartbeat of a woman standing on the edge of vulnerability, unsure if she can safely jump. You need to understand what's happening in her psychology. When she's scared of falling, her mind runs all the worst case scenarios. Her imagination magnifies every possible risk. She worries that if she opens up, she'll face rejection, disappointment, or lose control of herself. Every emotion gets louder. Every interaction gets replayed in her head and stored in the file system of her nervous system. From the outside, her behavior looks inconsistent. Underneath, the current is steady. She's drawn to you. Your role here is simple on paper, but rare in real life. Stay steady, not aggressive, not passive, steady. Be the kind of presence that lets her fears slowly meet trust, that lets her desire move at its own pace without pressure. Every impatient message, every demand for clarity, every emotional punishment for her distance makes her fear spike. Every calm, consistent, and reliable action reduces it. This is how attraction grows in women who are scared to fall. Pay attention to the subtle signs. A look that lingers a little longer, a laugh that hangs in the air when you're around, questions that cut deeper than normal small talk, little touches, unplanned gestures, or random private thoughts she shares without you pushing. These are signs that, in spite of her fear, she's moving toward you. And you'll notice they come like waves, surges of closeness, then pullbacks. Your job isn't to control the tide. Your job is to stay steady on the shore, watching, waiting, and radiating calm confidence. Most men mess this up because they read fear as rejection, so they react. They chase, they push, they disappear. And in doing that, they prove her fear right, that getting attached is dangerous, that closeness hurts, that vulnerability isn't safe. The paradox is this. Attraction can grow in the middle of fear if it's met with calm. Pressure kills it. Absence kills it. Steadiness feeds it. Remember, her fear reflects how intense her emotions are, not how valuable you are. She hesitates because what she feels is real enough to threaten the defenses she's lived behind. The stronger the fear, the stronger the pull. Her hesitation is proof that her system is awake and processing the truth of her desire. Once you understand that, your whole lens changes. You stop panicking when she retreats. You stop dissecting every line of her messages. You stop needing to prove yourself. Instead, you build presence, patience, and grounded energy. You show her, through your behavior, that leaning toward you is safe. That desire doesn't have to be dangerous. That vulnerability can be something you share, not something she pays for alone. As she feels that, the exact behaviors that used to upset you, the hesitation, the hot and cold, the temporary withdrawals, start to look different. You see them as signs of progress, markers on the path toward more connection. This is the secret most men never catch. The woman who hesitates is not automatically rejecting you. She's negotiating with herself. She's wrestling with fear so she can make room for love. And the man who understands this reads the signals and responds with calm steadiness instead of reactivity, becomes more than just another guy. He becomes the person who makes it possible for her to be brave. When her fear finally sense its grip, the pull you felt all along shifts. Hesitation turns into a decision. Uncertainty becomes curiosity. Her emotional walls turn into doors. And at that point, what you have is no longer a fragile spark. It's a connection built on trust, patience, and the quiet truth that she wasn't really avoiding you. She was scared of falling. By now, you should see one core truth. The behaviors that confuse you, the delays, the retreats, the contradictions, are rarely signs of indifference. They're proof that she's emotionally engaged and wrestling with how much she feels. Fear is messy, but it's also a compass that often points straight at desire. The hotter the fear, the deeper the attraction tends to run. Every hesitation, every pause, every wave of hot and cold energy is a test, not of you personally, but of her ability to trust herself in this. She's watching to see if you can stay steady through the storm of her emotions without collapsing, overreacting, or losing who you are. And your response, more than her next move, shapes where this goes. Calm, confident presence pulls her in. Panic, pressure, or silence pushes her away. Notice the small openings, the smile that stays on her face a second longer when your eyes meet, the question that shows she's thinking about you even when life is busy, the accidental touch that actually holds some intention. Each of these is a sign that her nervous system is slowly catching up to her feelings. She's moving toward a choice, toward risk, toward the same vulnerability she's afraid of and craving. And your ability to see and respect these moments without rushing in or backing out determines whether she feels safe enough to keep moving closer. You have to remember this. Indifference is flat and easy to read. Fear is sharp, chaotic, and full of emotion. If she felt nothing, she wouldn't pull back. She wouldn't question. She wouldn't hesitate. The intensity of her fear mirrors the intensity of her desire. And the man who knows how to read that gains a real advantage. He knows the difference between a woman who's avoiding him and a woman who is scared because she feels too much to move quickly. Now, let's talk about your role in that final shift. Your energy has to be rooted in clarity and self-respect. You do not need to drag her feelings out. You do not need to fix her fear. You do not need to beg for validation. What you do need is reliability, consistency, and emotional stability. Be the calm in the storm. Be the steady hand in the chaos. Be the presence that doesn't disappear just because her emotions swing. That's how a man becomes irresistible to a woman who's terrified of falling. Here's what happens when you really master this. Her hesitation loosens. Her walls soften. Her questions turn into genuine invitations, not defenses. She starts leaning in without noticing. She starts trusting what she feels, and through that, trusting you. Slowly, the fear that once pushed her away becomes the same force that pulls her into something deeper. At that point, the dynamic changes. The distance that used to confuse you now makes sense. The contradictions that annoyed you become evidence that she's emotionally alive and involved. The quiet pauses and little retreats become part of her nervous system aligning with her heart. And in that alignment, real intimacy shows up. A connection rooted not in games or guarantees, but in the balance of desire, trust, and emotional courage. Before we wrap this up, I want you to sit with something personal. Think about this equation. The level of your steadiness multiplied B. The intensity of her fear equals the depth of connection you two could build. Really consider that, and then tell me in the comments, if your steadiness is high and her fear is strong, what does that say about the potential between you? Like this video, if it shifted how you see women's behavior. Subscribe for more straight talk on female psychology and dating dynamics. And share this with a friend who keeps misreading hot and cold as she doesn't care. Trust me, understanding this changes everything.